I think you can start, Prabhu. Now. At least it's getting recorded. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Let's have some Bhajan. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Vrajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajadana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachaari Yamuna Tiravanachaari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Priya Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Vrajadana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachaari Yashodanandana Vrajadana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachaari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Giridharadhari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai Haridas Kirtan ki Jai. Let's recite this prayer. Om Ajnanatirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuruntamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Vena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadavayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnava Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Tam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Visakha Vitamsa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vaisha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhubhyo Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nashtaprayeshu Avastreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namaha Pankajanaభాయ Namaha Pankajnetraయ Namaha Pankajmalini Namaha Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajagrahe Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanyaya Namade Gauratishe Namah Namo Brahmana Devaya Go Brahmanataya Cha Jagatitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Itiramini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesa Sunyadi Pashyata Deshtarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Mataji. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 12, Creation of Kumaras and Others. Okay, so let's read the verses related to this. So we'll be reading this 12th chapter, Creation of Kumaras and Others. I'm just sharing my screen. We'll start with the text 1 and we'll see till where we can complete and all. See my screen, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. We'll try to recite some of the verses and we'll take up the purport and translation and purpose. We'll try to read one or two verses. Maitreya Vacha iti te vardita Shatha iti te varnatita chatta Kalakya paramatmanaha Mahima Veda Garbhotha Yatashtakil Vibhodami Maitreya Vacha iti te varnadita tatra kalakya paramatmata Mahima Veda Garbhotha Yatashtakil Vibhodami Translation. Sri Maitreya said, O Lord Vidura, so far I have explained to you the glories of the form of Supreme Personality of God. nature of Kala. Now you can hear from me about the creation of Brahma, the reservoir of Vedic knowledge. Yeah, I'm reading the translation once again. Sri Maitreya said, O learned Vidura, so far I have explained to you the glories of the forms of Supreme Personality of Body in this future of Kala. Now you can hear from me about the creation of Brahma, the reservoir of all Vedic knowledge. Okay. So, just to give the background, this third canto is about the discussion between the first the discussion is between the Vidura and Uddhava. Then the second discussion, then Uddhava directs Vidura to meet with Maitreya Rishi, and the second conversation is between the Maitreya Rishi and the Vidura, right? So the start of this chapter was like this. Actually, Vidura left the home after the insult from the Duryodhana. So he takes this as an opportunity. So he just renounced everything, palace and everything, and he left to the forest. Okay. Then he comes and he meets with Uddhava. Then he inquires with Uddhava about the Krishna and Yadus and other things and all. So he try to understand about the Krishna and other Yadus and other people and all. After giving all the descriptions about the Krishna, Uddhava then directs him to the Maitreya Rishi. See, Maitreya Rishi was also residing here, and it is an etiquette to guide the to the higher learned person. That's why Uddhava directs the Vidura to Maitreya Rishi. So after that, Vidura goes to various holy places and all. He visits various temples and holy places, and finally he meets with Maitreya Rishi. And Maitreya Rishi is describing about the creations, right? About creations and all. Previous to this chapter was about the Kala. Okay. Now you will be in this chapter. You will be describing about the creations and all. So from the start, we would be discussing about the Brahma, creation from the Brahma. So there are two kinds of creations, okay? Primary creations and the secondary creation. So both of them are correct actually. So primary creation is the creation which Krishna has created, and secondary creation with all the 24 elements and all. Okay. So secondary creation is a creation by the Brahma, where you use all these elements and try to create the living entities and other things, this material world, living entities and other things. And so this is what. So with the first verse, we could understand the Kala is being already created. Now Brahma try to create other things and all. Okay, so that we can understand and we can go on. So in this verse, we can from in this whole chapter, we can understand that Brahma has created first. Yeah, I am trying to give some kind of summary. So Brahma will try to create ignorance first, and then after ignorance, nothing but a darkness. So he creates a darkness first, then he creates the knowledge, in the form of the four Kumaras and all, okay, in the form of the Kumaras, and then he tries to create Rudra, Rudra, and so on. So so on. So this is the way the chapter goes and all. So first, Brahma try to create the ignorance. Why he has created ignorance is described in the verse number 2, which we'll read and try to understand. So first he creates ignorance or the darkness. Okay, so this darkness has the 5 features that we'll all discuss in this verse, coming verse. And try to share the screen. Let's recite the second verse and try to understand why he has created the ignorance. Yeah. Yeah, I'll try to recite this verse as well. This is the important verse. Okay, so it's important in this whole chapter. This is most important verse. Yeah. ससज्जाग्रे विधाम तमीश्वरम अतातमीश्वरम आदिकृत महामोहम च मोहम च तमस्सज्ञान व्रताया सहस्राग्रे ऋतमीश्वरम अतातमीश्वरम आदिकृत महामोहम च मोहम च तमस्सज्जनाने व्रतायः. Anybody would like to recite this verse?
Shall I try, Prabhu?
Yes, please, please.
Yeah. Sasarjagre andatamishram ata tamishram adikrit mahamoham cha moham cha tamascha jnana vrittaya. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Can you read a translation?
Yeah, sure. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Brahma first created the nascent engagements like self-deception, the sense of death, anger after frustration, the sense of false ownership, and the illusory bodily conception or forgetfulness of one's real identity. Hare Krishna.
Can you read somebody read purport?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can you read, Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna, please, Prabhuji.
Okay, Prabhuji. Before the factual creation of the living entities in different varieties of species, the condition under which is living being in the material world has to live where created by Brahma. Unless a living entity forgets his real identity, it is impossible for him to live in the material condition of life. Therefore, the first condition of material existence is forgetfulness of one's real identity. And by forgetting one's real identity, one is sure to be afraid of death, although a pure living soul is deathless and worthless. This false identification with material nature is the cause of false ownership of things which are offered by the arrangement of superior control. All material resources are offered to the living entity for his peaceful living and for the discharge of the duties of self-realization in conditioned life. But due to false identification, the conditional soul becomes entrapped by the sense of false ownership of the property of the Supreme Lord. It is evident from this verse that Brahma himself is a creation of the Supreme Lord, and the 5 kinds of nescience which condition the living entities in material existence are creation of Brahma. It is simply induction. It's simply ludicrous to think the living entity to be equal with the Supreme Being when one can understand that the conditioned soul are under the influence of Brahma's magic band. Patanjali also accept that there are 5 kinds of nescience as mentioned herein. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I forgot. I thank you all for joining this call for reading Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam. Sorry, I could not start with this, and please bless me and forgive me for anything wrong I have spoken. And thank you, Praveen Prabhuji, Subbarao Prabhuji, and Lilananda Prabhuji for giving this opportunity. Though I do not have any qualification, I'm trying to read and understand. As a service, I'm doing this. So yeah, I'm not qualified, but still as a service, I'm taking up. So thank you for joining this session. Okay, and let's go and try to understand reading further. So yeah, I'm sharing a screen once again. So here, this is the important verse actually. If you can understand, there are 5 things being explained here. Okay, so 5 features actually are explained here with respect to the ignorance. Okay, so the Brahma first created ignorance. Okay. Lisient engagement. Okay, ignorance. Avidya. So Brahma has created avidya, and this has 5 features. Okay, 5 features. First thing is forgetfulness. Okay, so forgetfulness of what? Forgetfulness is about our own identity actually. So forgetfulness of our identity as a we are a servant of the Lord. We have forgotten our own identity as Swarupa, right? So that is the first. So this darkness or ignorance, right? In this ignorance, we forget our identity actually, which is our real identity, that we are part and parcel of Krishna, and we are the servant of the Krishna. So we have actually forgotten our Swarupa. Okay, so that will explain. Okay, that will explain. So here the word tamas, tama, which is being used, is nothing but a forgetfulness, right? So we have forgotten. First, we have forgotten our own real identity. Okay, that is what the Maitreya Muni, our Prabhupada is saying. So we have forgotten our Swarupa. Then due to this forgetfulness, it caused a boham, right? It caused a boham, right? So what is the boham? Is nothing but boham of bodily consumption. Since we have forgot our Swarupa, then we are identifying ourselves as a body, right? But we are not this body. We are a spirit soul, right? So that is what we say. So due to forgetfulness, right? Due to forgetfulness, we are identifying ourselves as a body, right? So this is a illusory bodily conception, right? So this is boham. Boham, nothing but illusory. Illusion. Yeah, illusory. So bodily conception. So we have forgotten our real identity, right? So that we are identifying ourselves as a body, right? So that is the boham. That is what the illusion we are into, right? And second important, this is the second one. So third thing is mahamoham. Okay, as it is explained in the verse, Mahamoham. So ownership of enjoyable objects. Mahamoham is nothing but a ownership of enjoyable objects. So nothing but it's nothing but a false proprietorship, right? So when we identify ourselves with a body, right? When we identify ourselves with a body, right? Then we try to take the proprietorship, or we try to have possessiveness on the objects and all, right? We try to think that we are the owner, but Krishna is the owner, proprietor, everything, right? Is the proprietor and all. So when we identify ourselves with the body, so there is kind of a possessiveness, right? When we identify ourselves with the body, right? Like example, relationships, right? Relationships or anything with the body, right? Any house, properties and all. So we think ourselves as a false proprietorship because we are identifying ourselves to the body. That's why not we are identifying to the body, not to the soul, right? So that's why this false proprietorship of enjoyable objects arises and all. So that's why we have the possessiveness. Okay. So that is what about the Mahamoham. Mahamoham. Okay. Then the fourth thing which is explained, the fourth feature of ignorance or darkness is Tamishram. Okay. Tamishram, which is will explained here, Tamishram, the word, is nothing but anger on frustration, right? So what is so anger upon frustration. Tamishram means anger upon frustration. So what happens when we identify ourselves with the body? First thing, we have forgotten our identity, real identity as a Swarupa, right? But then in the second step, what happened when we forgot our Swarupa? Then we identified ourselves with the body. Okay, that is nothing but the moham. Okay, when we identified with a body, we try to claim false ownership or possessiveness on the objects. Okay, so we are establishing ourselves with the body and all related to the body, relationship, whatever it may be, the relationships or whatever it may be. So these identification, okay, so forgetfulness and identification of body leads to false proprietorship, which is Mahamoham. Okay, then this Mahamoham is when we identify something for the self enjoyment, or we identify as a body and take proprietorship or possessiveness on the enjoyable objects. Okay, if something we are not getting, or something if we are not finding anything, right? So the frustration develops. So when frustrated, then from the frustration comes the anger, right? So Tamishram. So Tamishram is nothing but anger upon frustration. So when once enjoyment is obstructed, right? When once enjoyment is obstructed, then this Tamishram, then there is frustration, all right? There is frustration, and from this frustration, there is anger. Okay, that is being explained. And after this, the fifth feature is Anda Tamishram, right? Anda Tamishram, which is being explained, right? So, yeah. So, Anda Tamishram is nothing but sense of death. Okay, it's nothing but a sense of death. So, this is nothing but an unconscious state, right? Brought about by the anger. So, when we are anger, so we are almost only unconscious state, right? So that is what being explained. So these are the 5 features of created by the Brahma. So first he has created ignorance. So we all know that, right? We all know that the Prabhupada gives in many lectures, right? He gives many lectures on the identifying our body and all. So we all know that this material world is created to enjoy actually. So we wanted to enjoy similar to Krishna. So Krishna has created this material world, and we the living entities are sent here to enjoy this material world, right? So it's a reflection of the spiritual world. So since we want to enjoy similar to Krishna, so this material world was created, and we are sent here to just to enjoy that, right? So so we have to understand that once coming into this material world, immediately when comes into this material world, so he just forgets his Swarupa, right? His identity with Krishna. He forgets its identity with Krishna. He is a servant of the Krishna and all. So only in ignorance, right? In forgetfulness, he will be only able to enjoy this material world. That's why that's why the secondary creation which Brahma has done, he has started with ignorance. So when we forgot our real identity, then only we will be able to enjoy. So this material world is also created so as we can perfect our lives and go back path of Godhead, right? So it's an opportunity also, right? So this material world is full of, we think it is full of enjoyment and all, but it leads to the frustration also, right? So when we understand the frustration, and when we understand that we have forgot the real identity with Krishna, which is our Swarupa, then we will be we will take up the process of spirituality or the self-realization and try to go home. So so Brahma wantedly created this darkness or ignorance, right? Tama, so that we can forget actually and enjoy. Okay, that was our desire. That's why the desire to enjoy actually. That's why Krishna has given given this all the living given a chance actually to come to this material world, right, and to enjoy it. Okay. So these are the five features of ignorance or darkness, right? These are the five features, important features which we can understand, right? Here Prabhupada writes beautifully about all this and all, right? But he also mentions that a pure devotee, right? Here Prabhupada says that pure devotee, he understands this all, right? So this all. So what he says, so one who's what is that? Okay. That's for the first condition of the condition. So Brahma created 5 kinds of nations. So it is okay.
Correct.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Sanjay Prabhu. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
No, for reading I was asking, probably, sorry.
No problem. Please, yeah, we go on to the third verse. Can you read the translation of third verse? Can you see, Prabhuji?
Yeah, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Seeing such a misleading creation as a sinful task, Brahma did not feel much pleasure in his activity, and therefore he purified himself by meditation on the personality of Godhead. Then he began another term of creation. Hare Krishna.
Right. Thank you, Prabhu. So first Brahma has created the ignorance, right? So he felt that this is a sinful task. So why? Because in ignorance, all the living entities are performing all the sinful tasks and all, right? So he did not feel any pleasure about it, right? So he just what he did is he tried to meditate again on the supreme personality of Godhead and started creation again. Okay, so ignorance was created. So in ignorance, people are forgetful of Krishna, right? Because they are not connected to Swarupa, so they are doing all the sinful tasks and all. And in this sinful task, they are committing they are trying to commit more sins and all, and they are not coming of the out of the birth, death, old age and disease, four miseries of life. Four miseries of life. Okay, apart from these four miseries, there are three other things like apart from these four miseries, there is something called uh, being afraid and all, afraid of because of the future. What we call this as, I'm not getting that word. Bhaya is about future. There are three kinds. One is about we are worrying about the present. Shokam is about about the past. So something has happened, and we are just worrying about the past, and shoka develops. And the other one is something we are about worrying about the current one, and bhayam is afraid because of the we are thinking about the future and all. So that's why Prabhupada in the previous verse, afraid of death has been mentioned. So we all are, that is what afraid is. So apart from these four misery, these three things, we all are afraid of actually. So here the Brahma, so he felt that after this activity, so he tried to meditate after the ignorance, creation of ignorance. He could understand that now it is important to do other kind of creation also, right? So he meditated on Sublime Lord and started again creating again and all. Can somebody read the purport? Hare Krishna. Yeah, Sanjay Prabhu, otherwise you can read the purport.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Although he created the different influences of Nisines, Lord Brahma was not satisfied in performing such a thankless task, but he had to do it because most of the conditioned souls wanted it to be so. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 15.15 that he is present in everyone's heart and is helping everyone to either remember or forget. The question may be raised by why the Lord, who is all merciful, helps one to remember and another to forget. Actually, his mercy is not exhibited in partially towards one and enmity towards another. The living entity, as part and parcel of the Lord, is partially independent and is partially independent because he partially possesses all the qualities of the Lord. Anyone who has some independence may sometimes misuse it due to ignorance. When the living entity prefers to misuse his independence and glide down towards nescience, the all-merciful Lord first of all tries to protect him from the trap. But when the living entity persists in gliding down to hell, the Lord helps him to forget his real position. The Lord helps the falling living entity glide down to the lowest point just to give him the chance to see if he is happy by misusing his independence. Almost all the conditioned souls who are rotting in the material world are misusing their independence, and therefore five kinds of misigns are imposed upon them. As an obedient servitor of the Lord, Brahma creates all these as a matter of necessity, but he is not happy in doing so because a devotee of the Lord naturally does not like to see anyone falling down from his real position. Persons who do not care for the path of realization get full facilities from the Lord for executing their proclivities in the fullest extent, to the fullest extent, and Brahma helps in that procedure without faith. Hare Krishna.
Right. Thank you, Prabhuji. So here we can see that Brahma is displeased, right? Brahma is displeased with the activity of creation of ignorance and all, right? So that is what is mentioned here. So he tried to meditate on the Supreme Lord, and he wanted to begin or he wanted to create further, and right? So that is being mentioned here. Yeah. And what are the other things? Yeah. Yeah, so this is all. So other things like the misuse of independence. So every living entity is parts and parcel of Lord, and so he has given some kind of independence, right? Independence and all. So, but due to misuse of independence, they fall from the real position and all, right? And they commit all the sins and all. So that is what. So if there's something, if somebody is interested in the Krishna consciousness, then try to revive him. That is what we explained. So yeah, as a Paramatma feature, Krishna is there in everyone's heart. So all the remembrance and forgetfulness, everything Krishna gives and all. So this all be explained here, right? So yeah. So again, the five kinds of designs are avidya, right? Five kinds of designs are avidya, darkness, ignorance is being explained. Okay, so that we can enjoy in this material world, and we are based on our desire, and so that is what will be explained here. Okay. Let us go to the fourth verse. Yeah, can somebody read the translation of fourth verse?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji.
In the beginning, Brahma created four great sages named Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara. All of them were unwilling to adopt materialistic activities because they were highly elevated due to their semens flowing upwards. Shall I read purport?
Yes, purport.
Purport. Although Brahma created the principles of nascence as a matter of necessity for those living entities who were destined to ignorance by the will of the Lord, he was not satisfied in performing such a thankless task. He therefore created four principles of knowledge: Sankhya or empirical philosophy for the analytical study of material conditions, Yoga or mysticism for liberation of the pure soul from material bondage, Vairagya, the acceptance of complete detachment from material enjoyment in life to elevate oneself to the highest spiritual understanding, and Tapas, or the various kinds of voluntary austerities performed for spiritual perfection. Brahma created the four great sages, Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat, to entrust them with these four principles of spiritual advancement, and they inaugurated their own spiritual party or Sampradaya, known as the Kumara Sampradaya, or later on as the Nimbarka Sampradaya, for the advancement of bhakti. All of these great sages became great devotees, for without devotion service to the personality of Godhead, one cannot achieve success in any activity of spiritual life. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So here the Prabhupada is trying to explain, right? Maitreya Rishi is
Your screen is not shared. I don't know. I can't see. Is shared?
one second. Share. So you are reading from book, Mataji? You are reading from the book.
Yes, I read from the book, Prabhuji.
1 second, Prabhuji. I'm finding some difficulty. I'm sharing it. Sorry. So you want us to read again, Prabhuji? Yeah, we'll try to read translation at least. Okay. So in the beginning, Brahma created four great sages named Sanaka, Sanananda, Sanatana, and Sanatakumara. So all of them are unwilling to adopt materialistic activities because they are highly elevated due to their children flowing upwards. So here Brahma first created four Kumaras, right? These four Kumaras are they resemble as a knowledge actually. Okay, so four Kumaras resemble for the knowledge actually. So first, first, first one was about the Sankhya Yoga, about empirical philosophy for analytical study. Okay. Second was second kind of knowledge is yoga, right? Yoga or mysticism for the liberation of the pure souls from the material bondage. And second and third one was Vairagya, the renunciation part, the detachment from the material enjoyment, right? And the fourth one was the tapas, the austerity part, the austerity profound for the spiritual perfection. Okay, so these are the four kinds of knowledge, four kinds of the knowledge being given. Okay, so Brahma then asked them to create progeny, but they refused actually, because they were highly elevated. That is what the Prabhupada writes. They were highly elevated, so they were taking up devotional service, bhakti, devotional service and all. They are very highly elevated, or they were very advanced and all. Okay, this sampradaya, one of these Kumara sampradaya, which has come from these Kumaras actually. Okay, Kumara Sampradaya and the Nibarka Swami. Yeah, Nibarka Swami is the Acharya of this Kumara Sampradaya. Was the well-known Acharya of this Sampradaya and all. So this Sampradaya came from these Kumaras actually. As we have other Sampradaya, Sri Sampradaya, right? Brahma, Gaudiya, Madhva Sampradaya, these all Sampradayas, four Sampradayas which we have. One of the Sampradayas is Kumara Sampradaya, which just came from the Kumaras. But they just didn't accept actually. They were disobedient actually, and didn't accept to take further on this creation and all. So that is what we explained here, right? In the purport. So all this. So each one of them, Sanaka, Sanadana was responsibility. Sanatana was for one of the other, and Sanatan Kumara. So these all four kinds of knowledge is given to each one of them. So the four aspects of Vidya, right? After ignorance, the Vidya has been created actually, right? So this is being explained here. So because the Vidya is useless without bhakti, right? So bhakti is also present in them. So all these four aspects, it has some part of bhakti as well, right? So that is what. So this is what we explained. But bhakti is there here, but bhakti is a secondary element actually, not a primary. So all these four in these knowledge, in the four kinds of knowledge, which is presented by the four sages, great sages. So it has some kind of bhakti, but it's not a primary. It's a secondary bhakti. Is being, so that is being explained by the Prabhupada. Let's go on to fifth verse. Yeah, anybody can read the translation for the 5th verse. Prabhuji, sir.
Shall I read, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Translation. Brahma spoke to his sons after generating them. My dear sons, he said, now generate progeny. But due to their being attached to Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they aimed at liberation and therefore they expressed their unwillingness. Correct.
Yeah. You read purport also, Prabhuji. So, yeah.
Yeah, sure, bro. Purport. The four sons of Brahma, the Kumaras, declined to become family men, even on the request of their great father Brahma. Those who are serious about gaining release from material bondage should not be entangled in the false relationship of family bondage. People may ask how the Kumaras could refuse the orders of Brahma, who was their father and above all the creator of the universe. The reply is that one who is Vasudeva Parayana are seriously engaged in the devotional service of the personality of Godhead Vasudeva need not care for any other obligation. It is enjoined in the Bhagavatam, Devarshibhutaptanurnam Pitrunam Naking Karunayam Runicha Rajan Sarvatmanaya Sharanam Sharanyam Gato Mukundam Parihritya Kartam. Anyone who has completely given up all worldly relationships and has taken absolute shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, who gives us salvation and who alone is fit to be taken shelter of, is no longer a debtor or servant of anyone, including the demigods, forefathers, sages, other living entities, relatives, and members of human society. Thus, there was nothing wrong in the acts of the Kumaras when they refused their great father's request that they become family men. Hare Krishna. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, yeah. Here we can understand that, right? So yeah. So Brahma asked Kumaras to create a progeny, but they refused because they were devoted, or they were very devoted, are carrying out the devotional service to Lord, right? Lord Vasudeva already, Vasudeva Parayana, and they were already trying to liberate themselves. They aimed at that liberation and all. So it's not required to accept the orders of his father, right? Father Brahma and all. So because they were already Vasudeva Parayana, they were devoted to Lord Vasudeva already. Okay, that is being explained here. Okay, then what? Then after this, what the Brahma does? Let's see. Okay, so naturally we understand, right? We understand that in this, see, Guruji Prabhuji explained nicely. See, when we are in this material world, so we plan something, right? We plan something and it doesn't work, right? So if it doesn't work, if it doesn't go according to our plan, naturally we get frustrated, right? We get frustrated and angers come. Okay, anger will come, right? Similarly, Brahma was also was elevated person. Is not like like us, right? These living entities of material world. Is a much elevated person, but due to the influence of this material world, right? He didn't want. He had some plan of creation, but he didn't go as per his plan, because Kumaras didn't accept that, right? So naturally, he also got anger, right? So from his anger, now Rudra, right? Rudra is created. Okay, so it's similar. We can draw some kind of similarities, right? He is also frustrated. He is also there in the material world, right? though we called it as Brahmaloka or whatever, all the 14 plurality system are subjected to birth, death, old age, and disease, right? So Brahma, even though he is in Brahmaloka, he's trying to create, right? He's very trying to create, but he has to. He is also influenced by the anger, right? He's also in this influence. So when you are there in this material world, something doesn't go as per your plan, so anger comes and all. So in this anger now, the Rudra will be created. Okay, so let's go to the next verse. We can understand. Okay, so that is what. So it's kind of similar comparisons where the Gurujana Prabhuji, where one the Prabhupada disciple is trying to explain very nicely. Even Brahma was also subjected to the anger. So that is what. So let's read the 6th verse. Anybody can volunteer for the 6th verse translation purpose.
Shall I read, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. So yeah. Yes, Prabhu. Go ahead, please.
Hare Krishna. Translation. On the refusal of the sons to obey the order of their father, there was much anger generated in the mind of Brahma, which he tried to control and not express. Purport. Brahma is the director in charge of the mode of passion of material nature. Therefore, it was natural for him to become angry on the refusal of his sons to obey his order. Although the Kumaras were right in such acts of refusal, Brahma, being absorbed in the mode of passion, could not check his passionate anger. He did not express it, however, because he knew that his sons were far enlightened in spiritual advancement, and thus he should not express his anger before them. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Professor. Once again. So here we can understand that since they are far advanced and all, right, in spirituality, he did not express the anger and all, right? So that is what. So they were disobedient and did not follow the Brahma's orders, but they were higher in terms of the spirituality and all. They were seeking for liberation and all. And they were following, they were very much devoted to Vasudeva, right? So that's why he did not express his anger, right? So that is what we mentioned here. Okay. So yeah. What else? What else? Brahma is also the director of in charge of food of passion. So Brahma is the creator, secondary creator of this material world, and also everybody know from the childhood, right? Brahma is always in the mode of passion, right? Like Shiva is in the mode of ignorance, right? Destroyer and ignorance and all. Similarly, the Vishnu, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, right? So we know that he's in the mode of the passion, right? He's a mode of the passion. That's why he's the secondary creator as well. So that is being in the passion. There is always, when there is a passion, when something doesn't go as per the plan or as per the plan, or somebody refuses, then naturally there would be anger and all. Okay, that is what we explained here by the Prabhupada. Okay, in the purport and all. Let's go to verse number 7. Yeah. Yeah, verse 7. Although he tried to curb his anger, it came out from between his eyebrows, and a child mixed blue and red was immediately generated. purport. The face of anger is the same whether exhibited due to ignorance or knowledge. Although Brahma tried to curb his anger, he could not do so, even though he is a supreme being. Such anger is a true color came from between the eyebrows of Brahma as Rudra, in a mixed color of blue, ignorance, and a red passion. Okay, because anger is the product of passion and ignorance. Yeah. So here, so the anger which came from the eyebrows, right? From these eyebrows, now the Rudra has been created here, right? That is what being explained, right? So whatever the his anger is same whether exhibited due to ignorance and ignorance or knowledge. Yeah. So Brahma was angry with the four Kumaras and all. So this was the cause for the creation of Rudra, right? This will be the cause for the creation of Rudra. We go on to the next one.
Shall I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, sir.
Translation. After his birth, he began to cry. O Destiny Maker, Teacher of the Universe, kindly designate my name and place.
So in this eighth, in this verse actually, so here he is asking for the place to stay actually. So due to anger, a child is born now. So he's asking the places to reside, right? So where the anger, where it has to be resided and all, right? So that is being said. So can you read the next one also? I'll just yeah, ninth one.
Shall I continue?
Yes, yes. Please.
Yeah. The all-powerful Brahma, who was born from the lotus flower, persuaded the way with gentle words, accepting the request, and said, "Do not cry. I shall certainly do you as you desire."
Read 10 also.
Thereafter, Brahma said, "O chief of the demigods, you shall be called by the name Rudra by all the people, because you have so anxiously cried."
Okay. So from this 7 to 10, what we can understand from this verses 7 to 10, we can understand that from the Brahma's anger, Rudra is born, right? A child is born. Now, in the 10th verse, he is giving the name of this child as a Rudra. So first, for the church, first the child is born, then he was given the places to reside. Now he is leaving this child as a Rudra and all. Okay, so he is also a demigod. So Rudra was given, this child was given the name Rudra, and he was given some places where we can reside, right? He was given 11 places, right? 11 places. What are that places? We'll try to understand from the next verse and all. So first ignorance was created, right? Then knowledge was created, right? Knowledge we have for this knowledge four sages has been created. Sanaka, Saunaka, right? Sanaka, Sanatana, right? This all four sages was created for this knowledge, and now anger has been created, and this anger has given some places, and this name of this boy anger, this is given as a Rudra and all. So this all is part of the creation and all. Now we'll go and see what are these 11 places and all. Can somebody read the 11th verse translation?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Prasad Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Shall I read it? Dandot Pranam, Prabhu. Shall I read it, Prabhu?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. My dear boy, I have already selected the following places for your residence. The heart, the senses, the air of life, the sky, the air, the fire, the water, the earth, the sun, the moon, and austerity.
Yeah, can you go read Purport also?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Not Purport.
Okay, Prabhu. The creation of Rudra from between the eyebrows of Brahma as a result of his anger, generated from the mode of passion, partly touched by ignorance, is very significant. In Bhagavad Gita 3.37, the principle of Rudra is described. Krodha, anger, is the product of karma, which is lust. Okay, lust, which is a result of the mode of passion. When the lust is hankering or the unsatisfied, the element of Krodha appears, which is formidable enemy of the conditioned soul. This most sinful and inimical passion is represented as ahankara, or a false egocentric attitude of thinking oneself to be all in all. Such an egoistic attitude of one on the part of conditioned soul who is completely under the control of material nature is described in Bhagavad Gita as foolish. The egocentric attitude is manifestation of the Rudra principle in the heart, where Krodha is generated. This anger develops in the heart and is further manifested through various senses. Through various senses, okay, like the eyes, hands, and legs. When a man is angry, he expresses such anger with red hot eyes and sometimes makes a activities, one second, makes
The display.
and makes a makes display of clenching his fist or kicking his legs. This exhibition of Rudra principle is the proof of Rudra's presence in such places. Okay, yeah, in such places. When a human is angry, he breathes very rapidly, and thus Rudra is represented in the air of life or in the activities of breathing. When the sky is overcast with dense clouds and roars in anger, and when the wind blows very fiercely, the Rudra principle is manifested. And so also when the sea water is infuriated by the wind, it appears in the gloomy figure of Rudra, which is very fearful to the common man. When the fire is ablaze, we can also experience the presence of Rudra. And when there is a inundation over the earth, we can understand that this is also representation of Rudra. Shall I go ahead, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Okay. There are many earthly creatures who constantly represents Rudra element. The snake, the tiger, and the lion are always representation of Rudra. Sometimes because of extreme heat of the sun, there are cases of heart stroke, and due to the extreme coldness created by the moon, there are the cases of collapse. There are many sages empowered with the influence of austerity and many yogis, philosophers, and renouncers who sometimes exhibit their acquired power under the influence of Rudra principles of anger and passion. The great yogi Durvasa, under the influence of this Rudra principle, picked a quarrel with Maharaja Ambarisha, and Brahmana boy exhibited the Rudra principle by cursing the great king Parikshit. When the Rudra principle is exhibited by persons who are not engaged in the devotional service, okay, of the Supreme Person of the Godhead, the angry person falls down from the peak of his improved position. This is confirmed as below. You want to read it, Prabhu? You want to read the sloka translation, Prabhu?
Yeah, go ahead with translation.
Okay.
Yeah.
The most lamentable fall down of impersonalist is due to his false and unreasonable claim of being one with the Supreme. Okay. The most lamentable fall down of the impersonalist is due to his false and unreasonable claim of being one with the Supreme. Hari Bol, Prabhu. Wonderful, Papa.
That
Thank you
is
very much for
so
opportunity, Prabhu.
wonderful. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. So wonderful. Papa wrote this purport very wonderfully. So Rudra, the anger, in every elements, right? Rudra principle has been explained. Like the anger starts from the heart. In the sense, when the false ego, when we are egocentric, and when false ego, it starts with false ego starts in the heart actually. So when there is a false ego, then anger develops, and this anger uh, can be seen can be seen outside through the senses. So Prabhupada is trying to tell through the senses like hands, legs, right, eyes, right. And you can see anger in the eyes. So anger can be expressed, right, through eyes, hands, legs, and all, right. And there is anger people hit through hands, right, or hit through legs, right. So anger first starts with a false ego in the art, okay. Then it comes out through the senses in the form of anger through the eyes, right. People when they are the anger, the eyes become red, right, and they try to express anger. When they are in anger, they try to hit somebody with their hands, legs, and all, right. So it comes out through the senses. Air of life, right. Prabhupada also says that air of life. So when one is in anger, so one breathe very rapidly, right. Angry man will breathe rapidly. So when we see Kuroda, that is what being explained. And the right. Similarly, the sky, when sky is in anger, how it shows, so it roars in anger. Dense clouds roars in anger. Well, air, when it is in anger, wind blows very fiercely, right? We can hear when there is a rainfall, very big rainfall, we can see the air blowing very fiercely. Similarly, water also, right, in the form of floods. So water also in the form of floods, fire burning with a blaze, right? Forest fire we can see. Earth also transforms into weapons, inundation, earthly creatures like snakes and tigers. These are the examples of Rudra, right? And sun, when it's extremely heat, leads to the heat stroke or even death. Moon also there is anger, right? Extremely cold. If it is normal cold, it is not that. But extreme cold, right? That will also lead to collapse or even death, right? In wool also there is an anger. In austerity, there is a austerity also without bhakti, right? Some yogis, philosophers, or renunciates try to do, right? Renunciers try to do, right? So when they do this without bhakti, then that is in the mode of passion or ignorance, right? That is what Prabhupada how beautifully writes this purpose, and it gives example of the example of Durvasa Muni, right? Durvasa Muni and Ambarish Maharaj also, right? And Brahmanabai exhibited the principle of Rudra principle. That is what we explained here. So this all, so angers, these all are the places of residence of the anger, right? So we are talking about 11 places of residence of anger, starting with heart, senses, air of life, sky, air, water, fire, earth, sun, moon, austerity. So all these places are filled with the anger, right? So these are the 11 places of anger. 11 places were given to the anger or Rudra to reside actually, right? We can remember that, right? Kali was given some places to reside, right? He was what are the places where Kali was given to reside? Did Prabhuji and Mataji?
Lust, anger.
Gold,
Kali.
gold, Prabhuji.
Gold, yes.
Dirtiness means where they all gambling and all these things happens.
Right. Gold, Bali, yeah, that all the places like gambling, right?
Vesha places, right? Vesha verticals.
Right. So similarly,
Vesha verticals.
yeah. First, Rudra was born, child was born, then he was named as Rudra. Now, where he can stay, the residences have been explained in this verse number 11. We'll go on to other verses quickly. All these are self. From next verse, actually, there is not much. There is only translation. There is no purport, and we can read quickly. Can somebody read about 12? The translation of 12.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Lord Brahma said, "My dear boy Rudra, you have 11 other names. Manu, Manu, Mahinasa, Mahan, Shiva, Ratadvaja, Ugrareta, Bhava, Kala, Vamadeva, and Dhritvarta."
Yeah. Go on, read the next one also, Prabhuji.
Okay, Prabhuji. O Rudra, you also have 11 wives called the Rudransis, and they are followed: Dhi, Dhriti, Rasala, Uma, Niyot, Sarpi, Ila, Ambika, Iravati, Swadha, and Diksha.
Yeah. So the names, the wives, these all are given to procreate, right? So that is what so all material world is trying to extend actually, right? So
Prabhuji, this Shiva is also the part of this one. The Shiva and Parvati, because Uma name is there and Shiva name is there, right?
yes, Prabhu. That is what I understand from this. Yeah, from Brahma's the eyebrows, Rudra has been created. Now Shiva, this all are part of that only. Yeah, Shiva is also created. Shiva, and you can see the wives. In the wives' names also Uma is there, right? So these are all created for the progeny, right? For creation to create progeny in the large scale and expand the living entities. You can understand in the next translations and purpose. Yeah, can you read this one also, Prabhuji? Yeah, that was the short. Can you read 14 also, Prabhuji?
Okay, Prabhuji. My dear boy, you may now accept the names and places designated for you and your different wives. And since you are now one of the masters of the living entities, you may increase the population on a large scale. Purport. Purport is Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Brahma as the father of Rudra. Brahma as the father of Rudra selected the wives of his son, his living places, and his names as well. It is natural that one should accept the wife selected by one's father, just as a son accepts the name given by the father, or as he accepts the property offered by the father. That is the general course in increasing the population of the world. On the other hand, the Kumaras did not accept the offering of their father because They were elevated far beyond the business of generating a great number of sons. As the son can refuse the other of the father for higher purposes, so the father can refuse to maintain his sons in increasing population because of higher purpose. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So here Prabhupada is writing nicely that one has to accept the wives, as selected by the father, as father will give property to the children and all, right? So that is nicely being explained. Yeah, he will not support, right? That is the second part is as son, if a son refuse the order, the father of the father, so father can refuse to maintain his sons and all. So for the increasing population. So properly writing nicely. So we can see that in the various names, boys has been born, the wives were given, so they can have the progeny, right? Progeny, and they can create on large scale and all. Yeah. And let's go on quickly to the next one. I want to next one. Once again, Prabhuji, I'm not able to go to next. Yeah, can you read? Somebody read 15 past the Prabhuji. Will complete in next 10 minutes. We'll complete some of the verses and we'll wrap up at 9 o'clock. Can somebody read the next one, Prabhuji? Translation 15.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Shruti wants to try, Prabhu.
Oh, Hare Krishna. Yes, Shruti was
The most powerful.
The most powerful Rudra was
His bodily color was blue.
Color was blue, mixed with red, created many
Offspring. Exactly. Resembling him. In features.
Strength,
And
and
furious nature.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Can you read 16, Prabhuji?
The sons and grandsons generated by Rudra were unlimited in number, and when they assembled together, they attempted to devour the entire universe. When Brahma, the father of the living entity, saw this, he became afraid of the situation. So I read purport, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Purport? The generations of Rudra, the incarnation of anger, were so dangerous to the maintenance of universal affairs that even Brahma, the father of the living entities, became afraid of them. The so-called devotees or followers of Rudra are also a menace. They are sometimes dangerous even to Rudra himself. Descendants of Rudra sometimes make plans to kill Rudra by the grace of Rudra. That is the nature of his devotees.
See, we can understand from here that Rudra, right? Rudra is a destroyer, right? Right? Somebody is Brahma is a creator, right? So Vishnu is maintainer. Rudra is destroyer. So Rudra and the descendants of Rudra are trying to destroy everywhere, right? They destroy everywhere. So that is their this thing. So here also we can see that Rudras, they are trying to create a balance, they're trying to they are acting dangerously and trying to destroy everything and all. So even they are trying to sometimes trying to kill Rudra himself as well, right? So what is the example for this? Anybody can remember who tried to kill Shiva?
Basvasura, Prabhu.
Yes, yes. Yes, bro. No. So we can see. So Rudra was born, and his descendants were there, and the wives were there, so that they can increase in the large scale. When they tried, when they have increased. Now they are as a nature of Rudra destruction. So the descendants and everybody are destroying. Even they are trying to kill the Rudra as well. So this is what we explained. So we can go on to some of the verse and then summarize, and then we can conclude in few minutes. Can go ahead with 17, Prabhuji. Anybody? Yeah, you can.
Shall I read for you?
Yes, Sanjay, go ahead.
Translation. Brahma told Rudra, O best among the demigods, there is no need for you to generate living entities of this nature. They have begun to devastate everything on all sides with the fiery flames from their eyes, and they have even attacked me. Hare Krishna.
So you can hear, see Rudra, also, so all the Rudras and descendants and Rudras were trying to attack Brahma as well, right? They had some fiery eyes and all, so they tried to attack Rudra. So Brahma is trying to give the orders to stop this, right? To stop this. So you can see from here Prabhupada will explain in the future verses where the actually Rudra and descendants are actually the destroys what we said. All the destructions are responsible for the destructions and all. So Brahma asked them to do some austerity, keep some quiet and all. That's why all the Shiva's deities we can see meditating on the Lord Vishnu and all. So that is what the order that was the instruction given by the Brahma, and they try to follow and all. So that we can understand from the next translation and purport. So I'll read one of the purport. You can then. My dear son, you had better situate yourself in finance, which is auspicious for all the living entities, and which will bring all benedictions upon you. By penance, only shall you be able to create the universe as it was before. Purport in the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of cosmic manifestations, the three deities Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara or Shiva are respectively in charge. Rudra was advised not to destroy while the period of creation and maintenance was going on, but to situate himself in penance and wait for the time of dissolution when his services would be called for. So you could follow here. So Rudra was asked to keep quiet, not to do his services. Now creation and maintenance are taking place. So you can be quiet for some time. When there is requirement of dissolution, right? Dissolution, you will be called for the service. So that's why you can see most of the Shiva deities meditating actually. So he has gone for the meditation and right. So you can see that. Let's read 19 and 20, then we can wrap up. Can quickly somebody read 19?
Hare Krishna. Translation. By penance only can one even approach the personality of Godhead, who is within the heart of every living entity and at the same time beyond the reach of all senses. Purport. Rudra was advised by Brahma to perform penance as an example to his sons and followers that penance is necessary for attaining the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the common mass of people follow the path shown by an authority. Thus, Brahma disgusted with the Rudra generations and afraid of being devoured by the increase of population, asked Rudra to stop producing such an unwanted generation and take to penance for attaining the favor of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, we find in pictures that Rudra is always sitting in meditation for the attainment of the favor of the Lord. Indirectly, the sons and followers of Rudra are advised to stop the business of annihilation, following the Rudra principle while the peaceful creation of Brahma is going on.
Yeah, it's already self-explanatory, right? You can see that Brahma is saying the Rudra to keep to not to do his deception service, so he will be called for that service. So when Rudra is being told, so all these descendants must also stop, and yeah, we can see the Rudra meditating on the Vishnu, yeah, for his service, and he is waiting for his service. That is what we can understand. So now the creation and the maintenance part is being taken by what's going on. So there is no need for the deception and all. So he has to obey the orders of the of his father, Brahma, right? So he's following his orders. So naturally, his descendants also became stopped the annihilation part, right? We'll read the 20th verse because it's also it is also same kind of topic, and then we can wrap up immediately after that. What's happening in this? Yeah. Can somebody read 20th quickly? Just the only translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Translation. Sri Maitreya said, thus Rudra, having been ordered by Brahma, circumambulated his father, the master of the Vedas. Addressing him with words of assent, he entered the forest to perform austerity penances. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So we can understand that Rudra circumambulated his father. Rudra was born from the eyebrows of Brahma. He circumambulated Brahma and went on to the forest for the austerity and all to stop the service of annihilation or destruction actually. Okay. So when Rudra is stopped, all these descendants stop, so they can carry on with the process of creation and maintenance and all. And going forward with the verses, there will be the manifestation of many sages from the mind, from the body and mind of the Brahma, so that we can understand, like Narada, Vasishta, Daksha, right? Bhrigu, Kratu, all this Atribuli, Angira, how these Munis came out, they came to be, how they are manifested and all, right? Then manifestation of dharma, adharma. So these all lust, anger, greed, these all manifestations comes after this, right? Then also there is a manifestation of Kardama. So Kardama Muni is also manifested from the Brahma. So these all manifestations come going forward verses and all. So we have covered up to 20 verses, right? I'll give a little summary in a couple of seconds. So we try to understand here that Lord Brahma is the secondary creator, right? He is the secondary creator. There is two kinds of understandings. Both are correct. First, Lord Krishna is the primary creator, and he gives all kinds of 24 elements to Brahma. So Brahma will create the secondary creations, right? Or we can understand that give everything everything was given by the Krishna, so everything manifested by the Brahma. So creation, so everything was created by, primarily created by Krishna, and it was manifested by the Brahma. So secondary, so primary creation and secondary creation. Okay, so Brahma tried to create. First, he created in this what we have learned from 1 to 20th verse is, first he tried to create ignorance. Why ignorance? Any answers? Why he has created first ignorance? Okay, so we have discussed about this. So he has created ignorance because Jiva is a part of Lord. This living entity is part and parcel of the Lord, and his Swarupa, right? His Swarupa is to serve the Lord as a servant, as a das, Anudas, right? So, but since that is his constitutional position, but since the ignorance or forgetfulness, without ignorance or forgetfulness, he will not be able to enjoy this material world. So this constitutional position of Swarupa, when he forgets, then only he will be able to enjoy the material world. That's why first he has created ignorance, right? So that first he has created ignorance, and we have learned there are 5 features of ignorance, right? 5 features of ignorance that are very important of this chapter. Actually, first was tamaha, where darkness is born, where we are in ignorance. Actually, we are forget ignorance, or we are forgetfulness of our own swarupa, right? Our own constitutional position, right? Then moham from this, when we are forgetfulness of swarupa, then moham arises, or illusion, right? And due to this illusion, we think that we are this body, right? We understand ourselves as a body, because we lost our real identity, right? Then moham, then after moham, the mahamoham. What is this mahamoham? False proprietorship. When we identify ourselves as a body, we try to claim the proprietorships and all. So we become possessive of relationships, possessive of bodily features or something, or objects and all, right? So false proprietorship arises. So after this Tamishram, so when somebody challenges these proprietorships or relationships or proprietorship of some objects, then we become frustrated and that frustration will lead to anger and all. That is what Tamishram, that we try to understand. Andatramishram, blind, unconscious state, right? Andatramishram means unconscious state brought about the anger. So when we are in anger, it's already it's kind of sense of death and all. So these are the 5 things we try to understand, right? So Brahma created first ignorance, and these are the 5 features of ignorance. And from these, from the ignorance, then he created 4 Kumaras. Kumaras represent the kind of knowledge, right? 4 kinds of knowledge, right? Like tapa, right? Yoga, tapa, right? And Sankhya yoga. These are the 3. These are the 4 kinds of. I have already named 3. So these are 4 kinds of knowledge. After ignorance, knowledge was given. So this knowledge has some part of bhakti, but it's not a primary. There is no primary bhakti in that. There is a bhakti as a secondary element. Okay. Then third, he was frustrated when Kumaras did not accept for the progeny and all. They wanted to carry out with their liberation, right? So liberation and all. So in the frustration, although he did not express outside, but a boy was born from his forehead, from the eyebrows and all. He named this boy as a Rudra. right? And he named given 11 places and all. So there are many wives and all. So the progeny started to create and in the large scale. So that's the way it expanded and all. So various residences we have studied, like where the anger resides and all, like heart, right? Heart starts with anger, start with heart, because false ego there is starts with the heart, and it comes outside through the senses and all, through hand, eyes, legs and all, right? When we are in anger, we breathe very profusely, we breathe very rapidly, right? We see anger in the sky, air, water, fire, earth, sun, moon, austerity. So this all we have read. And we see the Rudra is born and his descendants are destroying everywhere, right? So Brahma asked him to stop this, and he will be called for his services while there is now the creation and maintenance service is going on. So Rudra was told to stop to do deception service, right? So this was learned during today. So we can take one question, one or two questions, or anything you wanted to share from this and Mataji, quickly. Sorry to go beyond the time and all. Anything you have questions or anything you want to comment or add, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I have one question, Prabhu. Sorry. Maybe I missed some part, Prabhu. I don't know. Prabhu, you said Rudranis, right? So Brahma first created ignorance, and then Kumaras with knowledge, and then when they did not hear his father, then with his anger, Rudra came. So how he chosen Rudranis, Prabhu? Because they were not even created, right, Prabhu? In the order, at least, yeah. Sorry, Prabhu. I just got a general question.
Yes, Prabhuji, it is not mentioned about that, but here Prabhupada says that Rudra is created, that the boy is created, right? Because of blue and this thing and all. So passion and ignorance, a boy is created, right? Boy is created, and he is given the name of Rudra, and he has given the places where to stay, unlike Kali was given places and all. So Rudra was also given the places, but he has directly given the 11 names and all. So I think these 11 names are descendants of Rudra, like Manju, Manu, Vainasa, Mahan, Shiva. So these are, and 11 wives also were given. So that was being mentioned here, but it doesn't say much about it actually. Rudra's 11 names, residences and wives, that is being mentioned here probably. So that is what I understand. That was nothing much. So it's a individual or 11 has been born out of this Rudra that I could not get actually. But there are 11 names. I think 11 individuals and 11 Rudranis were also born actually. So they try to procreate in large scale and destroy and all. So when Rudra was asked to stop, so everybody stopped and all. So these were also created, I believe.
Sure, Prabhu. Yeah. Thank you. I thought I missed something, but yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, anything, any more questions or comments or anything you want to add? And thank you very much to attend this session of reading of Srimad Bhagavatam and all. And please forgive me for any mistakes and all. I'm also in process of learning, and with the blessings of all the Vaishnava, I'll try to do this service. Please kindly forgive me for any shortfalls, limitations and all. And if you have any questions, please go ahead or comments and all. I'll pause for 10 seconds.
I have one question, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Diwakar Prabhuji. Yeah.
So, like goodness is also born because we are talking about passion and ignorance. Did you come across?
Yeah. Goodness is represented by Vishnu, Prabhuji. So we first started with primary creation. Now we are talking about this canto, and this chapter. Whatever we are talking, it's about the secondary creation. So if you are there in the start. Start of this whole canto 3.1, right? We are in 12th chapter now. So first, Vidura tried to find out the whereabouts about Krishna, how Krishna is, how Yadus are there. So he tried to find out from Uddhava. Then Uddhava told him to meet the Maitreya Rishi. So Maitreya Rishi is trying to explain Vidura everything. First, he told about everything about Krishna, right? Then about the Yadus and dynasty and all. Now he is trying to explain about the creations and all based on Vidura's questions and all. So primary creation was done by the Krishna. So Vishnu is represented for the goodness, right? And Brahma represents the passion. That's why he's a creator. Creator means that is secondary creation. So primary creation is done by Vishnu. So he has already created Brahma, right? We have read all these Garbhutta Keshaya Vishnu, right? These all Vishnus we have read. So he has already created Brahma. So primary creation is done by him in the mode of goodness. Now Brahma in the mode of passion. He has a passion to create increase in the large scale. Now he's trying to create Rudras and all. So that everything. Brahma is in the mode of passion, and Shiva is the mode of destruction. So we are trying to read about Rudras and all, right? Which are they are in mode of destruction, right? Destruction. So yeah. Did I answer your question, Prabhuji? So second question.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is what. So going forward, thank you. Thank you all for joining this call. It was very late. Sorry for that, and please forgive me for my shortcomings and all. So going forward, it would be the manifestation from the body of Brahma. So all the rishis will be born and all, so that we can learn. And there is a episode of Vak episode also where Brahma will be attracted to his daughter and all. So this all happens in the next coming verses and all. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam reading ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.